Hello, all souls, and welcome to this week's worship service. Once again, the worship team and I have gathered here at church to record this service to share with all of you. I want you to know that we are trying to practice good social distancing as we create these services for you. We will continue to record services from the church as long as it is prudent to do so. And if the time comes, we are also prepared to record and produce them from our own homes. I want to assure you that whatever the next weeks or months bring, we will always be here for you, week after week, with worship from all souls. Our clergy team is available to you during the pandemic for pastoral care by email, phone, or Zoom. Please don't hesitate to reach out to Reverend Tony Coleman, Reverend Rob Keithan, Chaplain Kristen Green, or myself. We're here for you. This week, the clergy team began hosting Zoom check-ins for members of the congregation to connect with one another and share how we're feeling. I hosted one of these check-ins last Monday and found that it was really wonderful to see everyone's face and to connect with others. I hope you'll join us for an upcoming session. You can find times and login information in the All Souls Weekly or in the emails I've sent you. Our lay caring team is now reaching out by phone tree to the elderly, sick, and vulnerable in our congregation to make sure everyone is well. Please let Reverend Tony Coleman know if you'd like to receive such a call or if you can help make these calls. I want to remind our families with children that Dolores Miller and James Plazer have created some amazing resources on the RE page of our website. Lessons, videos, spiritual practices for children, and more. Please check these out and let Dolores and James know if there are other resources that would be helpful to you. And friends, just as so many of us depend on the church right now for connection, for spiritual grounding and inspiration, the church is depending on us too for our support. With in-person worship canceled, a large portion of the church's regular income stream has been disrupted. I invite you to please consider making a one-time or recurring gift to the church today. Simply click the donate button on the top of our homepage and follow the simple instructions for online giving. You may also text a gift by texting ASCU to 73256. Of course, you can always mail a check to the church as well. And thank you. We really appreciate your generosity. Friends, I hope you find this week's worship experience meaningful and helpful to you. At this time, you may want to get your home chalice ready to light as I turn things over to Reverend Tony Coleman to share our chalice lighting and opening prayer.
With this light, we make room for the holy. Whether we're in the comfort of our living rooms, gathered around a family chalice, or in our bedroom, quietly hovered over a candle, or someplace else, sitting in front of a screen that's lighting up our faces. No matter where you are, the holy, the sacred, the universal love and power known by so many names is with you. I want to now invite you to join me in a moment of prayer. As each of us continues to discern how we will travel this new, challenging, and uncertain path, as we try to figure out how we will make it through, let us hold fast to all the truths that are deeper and more resilient than the day's news. Let us remember that though we may be isolated, we are not alone. That though we may have to be distant, our community's work is not done. And though we may be separated, we will survive. No matter who we are, no matter our age, no matter whether we are healthy or hurting, as long as we are here, we have cause to have hope. It is in that hope that we lift up Bob Bloomfield as he and his wife Barbara McCann await the results from some recent tests. It is in that hope that we lift up all the special and sacred celebrations that continue on despite this pandemic, birthdays and anniversaries and life milestones. It is in that hope that I pray for you, friends, that we continue to find ways to nurture, to discover, and to be surprised by hope. Amen.
Our reading this morning is a poem by the author and journalist Lori Kelly Fanucci called When This Is Over. When this is over, may we never again take for granted a handshake with a stranger. Full shelves at the store, conversations with neighbors, a crowded theater, Friday night out, the taste of communion. May we never again take for granted a routine checkup, the school rush each morning, coffee with a friend, the stadium roaring, each deep breath, a boring Tuesday, life itself. When this ends, may we find that we have become more like the people we wanted to be, the people we were called to be, the people we hoped to be. And may we stay that way, better, for each other, because of the worst. Choices. Under ordinary circumstances, our days are filled with choices. What to do, where to go, who to see. Over the last several weeks, many of the choices that we once took for granted have evaporated. Decisions are being made for us by public health protocols that invite us to distance and to care for one another. But it's hard when our choices are taken away from us, because choices give us a sense of autonomy, a sense that we're in charge of our own lives, a sense that we're in control. If these times have taught us anything, it is that our sense of control over our lives and our circumstances is something of an illusion. These last couple of weeks have reminded me of the old saying that the best way to make God laugh is to tell her your plans. Now, I don't believe in a God who laughs at us, but I do believe in a God who laughs with us. So many of our best laid plans have been upended in this pandemic that maybe the only thing left for us to do after we throw up our hands and shed our tears is to laugh a little, to laugh right along with God. But friends, now that the choices that formerly structured our lives have disappeared, we have time and space to consider other choices, important choices. For though we cannot choose the times we live in or the challenges that life throws our way, the one thing we can always choose, the one thing that is always in our power, is how we will respond to the circumstances we face. That's the critical decision we face now. How will we respond to the circumstances that this pandemic confronts us with? I want to mention 3 important spiritual and ethical choices that each of us faces as we consider how to respond to this pandemic. First, we can choose to accept and be fully present to this crisis that we face. Friends, I know that there is a part of me that just wants to pretend that none of this is happening, to resist this reality, to resent it, to rage against it, or to just put my head in the sand until it all goes away. But is that how we want to show up for the world right now? Instead, we can gently acknowledge our denial, resistance, and rage, and nonetheless choose to accept the situation in which we find ourselves and be fully present to it. To be present to what we and others are feeling. To be present to what we and others are doing and saying. To notice. To be alert to both the perils and the promises of this moment. To be aware of the sometimes terrifying and often beautiful reality of our interdependence. That's one choice that is still ours to make, to accept and be present right now. A second choice we can make is this. We can choose to learn through this moment. You know, I don't believe that God sends challenges or suffering our way in order to teach us lessons. That's cruel. A God like that wouldn't be worthy of our love or praise. On the other hand, I do believe that the challenges we face in our lives offer us opportunities to learn and grow. Now is a good time to ask ourselves, what does this moment have to teach me? About my fear and vulnerability, about my strength and resilience, about what I need to make it through difficult and uncertain times. And what does this moment have to teach me about my fellow human beings and the world we share? Friends, I believe this moment has so much to teach us about ourselves, about humankind, and about how together we can face the many global challenges that the future will bring. So we can choose to be present to this moment. We can choose to learn through this moment. And finally, we can choose to respond to this moment with love and compassion. This is perhaps the most important choice that is still ours to make, a choice that this pandemic can never take away from us. We can choose to respond with love and compassion. I'm reminded of a story from the Gospels about a time when Jesus and his disciples are ministering to a great crowd of people. And from this crowd emerges a sick man, a leper, who throws himself down on the ground before Jesus and says to him, "If you choose, you can heal me." If you choose, he says, you can heal me. The man presents the state of his health and well-being as a choice that is in Jesus' hands. And in a moment of love and compassion, Jesus reaches out and touches the diseased man and says to him, "Friend, I do choose. Be healed." The way I read this story now, friends, is that we are both the diseased man and Jesus. We are all collectively, like the sick man, trying to be healed from a disease that threatens our health and our well-being. And each of us is like Jesus, for we each have a choice to make about whether or not the man will be healed, whether or not we collectively will be rid of this disease. The choice is literally in each of our hands. Jesus made his choice, and now we must make ours. Be well, friends. Choose well, friends. Amen.
We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle around to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change and life from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the way. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change and life from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the way. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle around to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change and life from deep within the earth.
Oh,
it is time now.
it is time now.
It
Friends, thank you for joining us today. It's so important that we try in this time as best we can to find a rhythm, to find ways to stay connected with one another. So many of you have shared how these videos and other church efforts are making it easier for you to stay connected, making it easier for you to feel nurtured and to cultivate a sense of hope. And so it's our hope that you consider making a gift. It is your gifts that make the gift of our community possible. And so with that, I invite you to join me in a benediction. Let us go into our week, friends, looking for, discovering, and maybe even inventing new sources of hope in this uncertain time. We are here and we are together. Amen.